very warm welcome to you, and thank you for joining us on Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali, and I'm so happy that you made the time this and every Sunday at 6 p.m. on KTN. This show is very informative, and I hope you learn about holistic wholeness. So today, the topic of discussion is, first and foremost, we'll debunk dairy myths, but again, we want to know more about what are low-calorie diets. What are low-calorie diets? And we are going to talk about this with our nutritionist, George Omolo, president of Cancer. He's also a nutritionist. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Good to have you.
Thank you so much.
Last time tulionana bado tulikuwa nakunywa kahawa sana hapa.
Yes.
Ni venye leo haiko.
Leo
tunachapia juu ya low calorie diet.
Yes.
So after the snacks that we prepared, courtesy of Brookside Plus, we were living life free. So today we just want to check about our diet.
Yes.
What is a low calorie diet?
Right.
Yes.
That's a good question. A low-calorie diet is basically a diet that has, less calories or energy as compared to the total energy requirement in a day.
Yeah.
So you find most of the less of 500 kilocalories of calories compared to the total energy requirement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, okay. For me, I'd say a low-calorie diet, in my opinion, avoiding starch, avoiding so many carbs. Does that apply? So at what point do I actually get into that low-calorie diet? For what reasons?
For what reason? Actually, low-calorie diet is actually, it's prescribed for people who have certain conditions. Actually, we call it low-calorie restricted diet. So, for example, when you're obese or overly obese, when you have hypertensive, you have suffering from hypertension, diabetic, type 2 diabetic mellitus, you are suffering from osteoporosis, you can be given. Yeah, so basically those are the conditions that you can prescribe low-calorie diet. Where now what you simply do, you reduce the amount of energy in that specific diet than normal. So for example, if somebody was supposed to, and the intention of that is to make sure that you're able to reduce at least half to 1 kg in a span of 7 days. So that is the goal, because we want to make sure that you're able to reduce your weight.
Okay.
You don't lose much. The range is half to 1 kg in a span of 1 week.
A half to 1 kg in a span of 1 week?
Yes.
So the end goal is losing
to lose weight, yes. Not more than 1 kg, because that again will become a problem. Yeah. So and then in the meals that we give the patient, we make sure that the dietary intervention, at least we are able to reduce 500 kilocalories in that food or in that meal. So we balance the foods and ensure that whatever food they are taking at the end of the day has a reduction of 500 kilocalories.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And when it comes to my meal plan,
yes,
if I'm on a low-calorie diet, what does it look like? What kind of foods, what kind of fruits, what kind of drinks do I now take?
All right. So basically, since now we are targeting energy, and we want to make sure that there's energy reduction or there's less energy in that diet, you'll give everything, all the nutrients the person can take, but now you focus on carbohydrates and fats. Those are those that you limit, because those are the sources of high energy. So of course you cannot eliminate them entirely, but you just reduce it. You target the fats and you target the carbohydrates. Yeah, but the other good sources, you make sure the client has whole fruits, you make sure they have whole grains, you make sure they have enough vegetables, salads, and of course they are well hydrated. They have to drink plenty of water, 8 glasses we usually say.
Okay.
Yeah, but you just focus on your carbs, and your fats has to be reduced in a way that you're able, if you do your calculations, at least it has less 500 kilocalories.
And I could ask you, if I don't have diabetes, if I'm not hypertensive, and all those conditions, I'm just healthy, but can I engage in a low-calorie diet?
Well, you can, but again, we highly recommend that you have to fall under those conditions, because again, remember, you need energy, to survive, of course. So energy is very important for you. So again, when you limit your energy intake and you're not under those conditions that we've just mentioned, it can also be a disaster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, okay. Yeah. And it's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
This month of May.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about diet, so when we talk about losing weight and also the people going through such conditions, definitely mental health issues arise during that period of time. So it's not just easy to cut off your diet. Yes. How do you now ease into that? How does this low-calorie diet also just help in terms of mental health? And yes, just to bring this person to be holistically well.
Sure. Now there's a lot of science that's trying to, to link nutrition and mental health. As we speak, it's something that is rising. And we have specific nutrients that are very important for mental health that help to regulate your moods, and even very good for brain function. Examples of those, like for vitamin B12 is very good for that. We have even calcium is good, magnesiums are good, and all these vitamins actually are part of their natural constituents of milk. So, and you notice for people who are vitamin B12 deficient, they are fatigued. They have a lot of mood swings here and there. They have depression kind of symptoms, and they're tired. So that means vitamin B12 is very important for mental health. So you have to make sure that even in your food, you have rich sources of vitamin B12. You have rich sources, of course, of calcium, magnesium. And even in that respect, remember, you can also look at mental health with immunity. When you have low immunity, again, it will disrupt your mental health. So you also have to look at foods that is able to boost your immune system. And we are looking things like zinc, selenium. So make sure that your food that you take, as much as you are trying to reduce your energy, all the other components has to be available. The rich source of vitamin B12 has to be there, calcium has to be there, your selenium has to be there, your zinc, vitamin A source has to be there. And the good thing, all these are actually components of milk. So when you have your milk, you gain all this, and you're able to stabilize your mental health and, of course, improve your brain function.
So what we're actually trying to say is that all these low-calorie diet foods, the milk that you're saying, it's not that we've reduced any kind of nutrients in it. So it still has the same nutrients, just lower fat.
Everything is, you have all the nutrients. Nothing has changed. Our focus is just on the energy. And since we want to reduce the energy, we are targeting carbs and fats. And remember, we are saying we are not removing them entirely. We're just reducing them. And to make sure at the end of the day, when you calculate the total servings you have for that patient or client, there's a 500 reduction in kilocalories. But all the other nutrients remain constant because you need them for your, for overall well-being.
And you can also expand more on, you've mentioned that in milk, we also have there are those that have low calories. So you can also just expound more on that and how beneficial it is to your diet now.
And just like we said, the low-calorie diet, which we give them to patients who have, the conditions like we talk about, obesity, people who are overweight, people who are suffering from cardiovascular diseases like hypertension, diabetes. So now, and among those components is milk. Like I said, milk is a rich source of protein, rich source of calcium, vitamin A, selenium, zinc, and all these things which you're able to boost your immune system, to support your bone health and things like those. So we find, if you look at whole milk, for example, whole milk has all those components. In fact, milk has 13 nutrients. We can count from, we have calcium, we have protein, vitamin A, vitamin B12, we have phosphorus, we have riboflavin, magnesium, niacin, phosphorus. So there are 13 in total. But now when you talk about low fat milk or fat-free, the difference is now the cream part of the milk has been removed. The fat content has been removed from that milk. So everything remains constant. All the nutrients are constant. It's only the cream or the fat component of the milk that has been removed. So we call it low fat. But also we have fat-free, which now entirely does not have any fat. So you find these two types of milk, they are very good for people who are on low-caloric diet. Because remember, that milk has no fat. And that's basically what we want to achieve to this person who's on low-caloric diet. So we can give low fat or fat-free milk to that specific person.
What about the people who like the plant-based ones? So is this also good for your low-calorie diet?
Yes, plant-based you can also give to this population of people. Because again, you still get your nutrients that are available in milk. Yes. So you can still give.
From the snacks that we've been making a couple of weeks back, also they just throw Brookside Plus, and smoothies were one of the things that we used low-fat milk with to make it. But why? Why is it highly recommended?
Yeah, smoothies is good because, like you said, they have low-fat content, but they're also rich in fibers. You know, they also have all these other components, vitamin A that we've mentioned. So, which means they can also support your nutritional health, and especially for those who are on low-caloric diet, smoothies is good.
But we use the low-fat milk specifically.
Use the low-fat milk, yes. Because again, the fat content is low. Remember, it also has no flavor. So there's no added sugar in the milk.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good for smoothies as well, So
when it comes to snacks, so am I still allowed to do snacks, healthy snacks, in my low-calorie diet?
Yes, you can still do your healthy snacks. Remember, we encourage you to take whole fruits, so you can still do your fruits. The concern will just be on the carbs and, of course, which type of carbohydrate. In low-caloric diet, we encourage complex carbohydrates.
Okay, examples?
We are looking at carbohydrates that may not spike your blood glucose. Yeah, so we are looking at carbohydrates that have low glycemic index, that will not spike your blood glucose.
Kama gani?
Aziko mingi. Unataka example?
Yes.
Now, for one example we can give, like they can use, for example, we have fruits. A number of fruits fall under complex carbohydrates.
Okay.
Yeah, and majority of the fruits that we take are actually in that category.
So fruits are healthy snacks for this diet?
Yes, whole fruits are healthy. Salads they can use also.
Or even salads?
Even salads are healthy. Yeah, so they can use.
Okay. And when you talk about low-calorie diet, we've talked about milk and the ones that you've recommended, low-fat, no-fat, you're plant-based. But there's osteoporosis that normally comes as a condition.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're using this diet, how do you, because you need the calcium, you need, you know, so what can you take if you have osteoporosis and you're also just in this low-caloric diet?
All right. So let's have an example of two cases. We have one case where a patient has osteoporosis and they are diabetic, for instance, or they are hypertensive, for instance. In that case,
those two can accompany each other.
Yeah, you can actually have those conditions. So if you are having osteoporosis and you are diabetic or you are hypertensive, you know, we have to be very keen on the fat content. We have to reduce your saturated fats. Actually,
just explain to them what osteoporosis is. Yeah.
This is a bone condition where your bone is weak. It's weak. Yeah. So that's the condition, and it's most common in the elderly, and you know, postmenopausal also for women. You suffer a lot of osteoporosis, and this is because the calcium content is reduced in your body, calcium and vitamin D, which are very vital for bone health and bone density. So that is the condition we call osteoporosis.
Okay.
Yeah. It can also affect athletes or those who participate in vigorous physical exercises. So you can also suffer from osteoporosis. So I was giving a case where if a patient is because remember when you have osteoporosis, your calcium and vitamin D levels are low. So our goal now will be make sure that we give you something that be able to boost your calcium levels.
Yes.
And milk is a good source because milk has good source of calcium and vitamin D. But if the person is also hypertensive, then we love to give low-fat milk for this case because it has the fat content is low. But the calcium and vitamin A are still the same as the whole milk. So we can give them that. But if somebody is osteoporosis and they don't have any of those conditions, then the whole milk they can also use because the whole milk still has calcium and still has vitamin A.
Okay.
Yeah.
So same to diabetes and hypertension, so they all link in together.
Yes, because diabetes, remember, when you are diabetic, the goal now is to make sure that we reduce your blood glucose level.
That's the one for type 2.
Type 2 diabetes.
Yes.
Yeah, type 2 diabetes mellitus. So we want to make sure that your blood glucose level is controlled so that anything you take should not spike your blood glucose level. And that's why we said in the foods you are taking, we focus on foods that have low glycemic index. And this I mean the foods that when you take will not spike your blood glucose. Because the foods that when you take, for example, beverages like soda, for instance, Fanta, when you take, you find, and you go and check your blood glucose level, you find it will rise up so high because of the sugar content.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that the sugar content is low. Yeah, for hypertensive. So you find when you're on low fat milk or fat free are very good for this kind of cases. And again, the reason why we said it's good because it has also potassium and calcium. Potassium and calcium are also good for controlling hypertension, for instance, for people who are hypertensive.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's something very important you mentioned about being menopausal.
Yes.
And how your bones, like you get fatigued. You can explain more about this, especially when you're talking about milk, all these low fat and fat-free. How is it beneficial during that time?
Yes, because during menopausal period, you find, for example, there's a lot of mood swing as a symptom that comes. Then you find you tend to have, the bones tend to be weaker. So you are at a high risk of suffering osteoporosis. So you find we encourage these people to take milk because milk is a good source of calcium and vitamin D.
Okay.
So it helps to boost your bone density, which that's what you need at that time. But at the same time, remember we are saying because of the mood swings and those kind of things, we also make sure that your vitamin B12 levels is also good. The zinc, the immune system is also well boosted. So again, milk is also another good source of these nutrients.
Okay.
So we encourage at least daily intake of milk products. It can be milk or any other yogurt or any of those. At least you take something that has milk content in it.
How much amount is recommended for a normal adult per day?
Amount of
milk?
Okay, usually the recommended, we usually take 2 to 3 servings per day. Yeah.
Just like 2 glasses.
2 glasses. Yeah. But again, you see, again, an excess of something is also bad. So 2 to 3 glasses per day is recommended. It's good, healthy for you.
Okay.
And I think this conversation is good because I know there are so many people who will say maybe they cannot take milk because of one reason or another. Because you have cases of people who are lactose intolerant, people who are suffering from milk allergies, or they are not able to take milk, or maybe they are, they are suffering from conditions that you just mentioned.
Yes.
And I think there are other varieties of milk that you can take. For example, if you're lactose intolerant, there's lactose-free milk that you can take. If you're suffering from milk allergies, you can use plant-based milk. Yeah, so if, for example, you are having cardiovascular diseases or you are at high risk of suffering one, hypertensive or diabetic, you have low-fat milk or fat-free milk that you can use.
Oh, it's also good for cardiovascular diseases?
Yes, if probably your doctor has prescribed for you to be on a calorie-restricted diet or low-energy diet, low-fat milk again becomes another good source. So in short, basically, you're supposed to take milk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and does it vary between an adult and like a child? So for children, what is recommended? Can they also do 2 servings per day?
Yeah,
because they tend to love milk a lot.
Yeah, they can do, but again, for children, we don't recommend low-caloric diet as much because children need, you need energy.
Okay.
And so children they are physically active.
Yes.
And so you need to replace that you are losing. So it's good when they can take whole milk, for instance, because you need that. Yeah, and again, there are people that also we may not recommend low-caloric diets.
Like?
Pregnant and expectant mothers or lactating mothers. Yeah. So they may not be on low-caloric diet. So they may use, instead of using low-fat milk, they can use the whole milk.
Okay.
Or if they're lactose intolerant, they can use the lactose-free milk. Or
so for them, they need like the energy, kabza.
Yes, because they need the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So low-fat milk, you said we are very specific on who we are giving.
That's the thing.
Yeah, it's very specific.
You can't just self-prescribe to yourself a low-caloric diet.
It's very specific, so you have to be prescribed. If your nutritionist prescribed for you that you have to be on a low-caloric diet because you are suffering from conditions like, for example, you're obese, or you want to control your weight. Remember, there are so many people who are on weight control. So then we recommend. But again, the point is, you cannot use it alone. You have to use other measures as well.
Okay.
Huwezi sema nitakunywa tu maziwa alafu weight ijipunguze. So you have to also be physically active. So there are other measures also you have to look at. And of course, your overall diet and lifestyle also you have to check on. Yeah.
Okay. And to what extent do I do this low-caloric diet? So for how long am I supposed to do it? And at what point do I now know that nikipita hapa, this will be now unhealthy?
Yeah, again, when you overdo it, there can be risks.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can do it gradually. So for example, if maybe your goal of taking low-caloric diet has been achieved, and now it's time now to go to your normal life, you just you know, you start, you know, bringing in the energy, but pole.
That's the thing. Gradual. It has to be gradual.
It has to be gradual. You cannot just leave it at once.
Why?
Because, you know, your body had already used to that system. So just gradual inclusion of the energy sources.
So it also means even when you're starting, unaacha pole, you're doing it gradually.
Gradually. But if you already are suffering from the conditions, then you go full.
Oh, yeah. So there'll be no like risks on doing it. Nimezoea kula skari mingi, nimezoea carbs.
Ni pole.
So nikiacha tu instantly.
Because again, you'll become weak.
Okay.
You become very weak. You'll become fatigued, and then if you are suffering from maybe other infections, healing time may take longer. So those kind of things.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's gradual. Just do it gradually, not abrupt or not at once.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the benefits we can mention about it. So healthy, like you control your weight.
You're able to control your weight.
Does it just control the weight alone? It has other benefits?
The other benefits, so you're able to control your weight.
Yes.
Because again, you're able to control your blood glucose level, you're able to control your pressure. And, you know, generally it's also able to increase your lifespan. Maisha yako pia inaongezeka.
Ukweli?
Yes. Sasa kama una gonjwa sukari, your sugar level is controlled. Una hypertension.
Yeah.
Your hypertension level is controlled. See, your lifespan also increases.
We talk about so many lifestyle diseases at this time, especially in this time and age.
Yeah.
But what are we really doing wrong? Is it that things have changed now? Ama pia kitambo, those were the things. What are we doing wrong in our lifestyle? And in terms of diet specifically?
Well, lifestyle, okay, there, you know, for example, if you are physically inactive, of course, you're at high risk of, you know, suffering from cardiovascular risks. And we are talking about hypertension, we are talking about diabetes, even cancer is one of them. That also is another thing. In fact, at this moment, nutrition is at the core of managing of some of these cardiovascular diseases. It's important both in the prevention and also in treatment. So you find the role of a nutritionist is very important at this point. So for example, let me pick on like hypertension, for instance.
Yeah.
In management of hypertension, we have a diet that we call DASH. It's called a DASH diet. So DASH diet simply means dietary approaches to stop hypertension. So this basically what you need, it has to contain a low fat milk or fat-free.
Yes.
Has to be part of it because remember it has less fat, and fat is a culprit in hypertension. Yeah, especially because fat, we call it saturated fats. They cause a condition we call atherosclerosis, where you block your veins, so your blood is not able to be pumped easily. So, but when you use low fat milk or fat-free, the fat content has been reduced. So even your hypertension can also be controlled.
Okay.
And also because of the sources of potassium that is also in milk, it also helps in controlling blood pressure. And even calcium also is good for blood clotting purposes. So you make sure that your diet, you make sure, of course, it has fiber, but low fat. It has, you know, a lot of potassium, calcium, and all these things. All of them as a whole will help to prevent or control hypertension. If you look, for instance, in diabetes, type 2 diabetes for this case, we are looking at food sources that are able to control your blood glucose level, so that your blood is not, you are not able to spike your blood sugar level. And the contents of milk, like you said, are very good sources. In this case, we are looking at low fat milk, low fat and fat-free. They are also good for managing diabetes because you're looking at the potassium that is there, you know, the magnesium that is there. They help also in controlling blood sugar level. But even so, milk has low glycemic index, so milk naturally cannot spike your blood glucose level unless the milk is flavored or has added sugars. So when you buy milk, it's good to check what are the other components of the milk. Some milk has high amounts of added sugars, which also is a risk for diabetic patients. Or, you know, some preservative also may also have high sugar content, which, yeah.
Okay. So I know we've mentioned this a couple of times, but I feel it's good to emphasize when we're talking about fat-free and low fat, and then now you're plant-based. Could you just differentiate to us all these three?
Okay.
Yes, when it comes to milk.
All right. So fat-free simply means there is no fat, or if it is there, it's very minimal. Yeah, so the creamy part of the milk has been removed. And you find if you take fat-free milk, most times haina flavor. It's blunt. Hiyo tamu ishatolewa. Hiyo creamy imetolewa.
That is definitely not for me.
Yeah, so iko tu ni maziwa ambayo iko tu.
Okay.
Because the fat content has been removed.
Okay.
Low fat, unapata, it's been removed but not, imeachwa ka percentage hapo. Yes, because again, there are some people that you need fat to some extent.
Okay.
So the fat content in low fat versus whole milk is different. The levels are different. So hii iko na fat lakini si mingi. Yes.
Okay, now
and then plant-based,
yeah.
This is not, it's not a cow's milk. This is from plants. Yes, and this is good for people who have milk allergies. Unapata
Lactose intolerant?
Yes, even lactose intolerant.
Oh, wow.
Ukikunywa maziwa ya ng'ombe unajikuna ni vitu kama hizo.
Yeah.
So you cannot use milk at all. So we have plant-based sources. Ni maziwa ambazo zinatoka kwa plants, if I can put it that way.
Okay.
And examples are, for example, almond, we have soy, yeah, we have even oats.
Yeah.
So as a source of plant-based protein, plant-based milk.
Okay.
So it's not cow's milk. The source of difference between plant-based milk and whole milk is that the protein content also may be different. Because cow's milk iko na protein, high quality protein, iko juu. Plant-based inaweza kuwa iko chini kidogo.
Okay.
The one that is closer to cow's milk is soy. The one of soy as a plant-based, inakaribiana na cow's milk.
Okay.
Yeah, but them, if you're lactose intolerant or kuna milk allergies, unatumia plant-based. But kama uko na hizi hypertension, obese, want to maintain your weight, then fat-free or low-fat milk
is the best to use.
Is the best to use.
Okay, thank you so much. Remember, the show is brought to you by Brookside Plus, and we want to take a short commercial break. Remember the WhatsApp line 0759434389. Definitely, I have a package for you. 3 of them, and just share your experience with low fat and fat-free milk. In case you're in a low-caloric diet, please just tell us what your experience is like and why we should give you this hamper. So 0759434389. We are coming back shortly. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, remember this is Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali. And before the break, we were talking about low-caloric diet. And we've just found out that milk is part of our low-caloric diet because you can still enjoy the goodness, but again, you can find low fat and low calories in the milk. Nutrients haziendi mahali. And this show is brought to you by Brookside Plus. Live life free. And I am still joined by a nutritionist, anaitwa President wa Cancer, George Omolo.
Yes.
Welcome.
Asante sana.
And thank you. We've talked so much about low-caloric diet and how milk actually is coming into play in all this. And aside from that, we're supposed to debunk myths.
Yes.
Oh, hii maziwa low fat, kidogo inaonja majimaji. And we want to debunk all the myths around it.
Sure.
So that people can be aware about these products. But remember, the WhatsApp line for your packages, 3 of them, I'll give 3 winners. The WhatsApp line is 0759434389. Reach us on our social media platforms at KTN. And we'll be happy to engage with you. I'll sample your feedback right now. So back to our diets and debunking the myths around milk.
Yes.
Sijui tuanzie wapi? Tuanze na ya kwanza.
Yes.
About low fat milk.
Yeah.
So is it just white water with no nutrition?
Okay.
Ama what is it? Because at times you say, oh, low fat, kuna haja hata kuongeza maji nikipika chai. How can we use it? How can we still ensure that the goodness is there? But again, we are checking on the diet. Yeah.
All right, that milk, that myth of saying low fat or fat free is just white water and it has no nutrition.
Yes.
And this myth came from, people started saying that when you remove fat from milk, then you remove away all the nutrients, which entirely is not true. Because you just remove the fat, but you retain all the other nutrients. And we mentioned 13 nutrients,
Yeah.
those are still available in that milk, in the low-fat milk. So the nutrients doesn't go anywhere. So the only difference between low-fat or fat-free with whole milk is that the fat component has been removed, but it retains all the other 13 nutrients. Yes, I know people may say that it's bland, it has no taste, which of course is true. So basically it is more tasteless. Yeah, it's bland, if I can put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, so that, but it doesn't mean that it will lose nutrients, no. Now, in terms of if you can use that way, you can actually use it to cook tea, like that.
Kivyake?
Kivyake
Hii sasa uongezi maji,
Hakuna haja
vikombe
kuongeza.
mbili, sijui.
Wazaongeza na pia unaweza kosa kuongeza. It's just up to your, liking.
But you can use it
But you can use it as it is. Yes.
So pia kwa chai unafeel iko na anakuwa taste.
Utafeel, basi sasa unajua chai utaongeza sukari. Yes, itakuwa na taste kidogo.
Talking about that, so is it okay if I'm still on this low caloric diet to do fat-free or low-fat milk and then now just add again sugar?
No, but you have to be very careful on the amounts you're adding. Yeah, because again, if you're diabetic, remember we don't want to give you anything that will spike your blood glucose, and sugar is a culprit. So, and we have other artificial sources of sugars. So instead of kutumia hii sukari ya kawaida, you use artificial sources.
Okay.
Like, that may not spike your blood glucose. And in fact, you can even stop using sugar at all.
You can.
You can, yeah.
Hey.
You don't need to use it. You can actually avoid sugar.
You can.
Because of the so many problems related to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's someone here asking, hi, is milk okay for someone with high or borderline cholesterol?
Yes, that's a good question.
Yeah.
When we talk about cholesterol, we're trying to link it to the hypertension. All right? Because and milk, especially low fat or fat-free, is very good because the calorie content is very low. Remember, the fat has been removed. And once the saturated fat has been removed, so the culprit is usually LDL. So the LDL component is reduced. So risk ya kupata hypertension is also reduced. Okay. So if you are having hypertension, then your best bet to use is low fat or fat-free milk because the cholesterol level has been reduced. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see your WhatsApp, Zinakuja, fast and quick. Hello, I really need this hamper, please. My baby is taking a lot of milk. This hamper will help me. So Rhoda watching from Gashie. Okay, Rhoda tumekusikia. Anasema baby is taking a lot of milk and she wants the hamper. Yes. Aongeze kwa stock. Even babies can take this low fat and fat free. Yeah. Not recommended though?
Not recommended because you need energy, but you can still cause no harm because remember you're still taking a balanced diet. Okay. But it shouldn't be habitual.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Someone is saying my forever choice, creamy and delicious and nutritious. Faith Kunga from Isiolo. Faith ni kama atambui low fat. Yeah, anapenda ikiwa creamy as possible. Yeah. Say yes to milk again. Yes. Everyone has their taste there. So I have another question. Someone asking before we go to the next myth. Yeah. When I take milk, I get breakouts on the face. Ask Daktari. Why? And what's the remedy?
Well, I know that's
can be part.
It will be sad to say it's one of the myths though, because there are so many things that can cause breaks, and if you look at the food, the meals that the person is taking, how often do they take milk? How often? You have to isolate. And have they tried that if they stop taking milk, does the problem stop? Because there are so many agents that can cause breakouts. Okay. Either, from the foods you take, from the clothes you wear, from what you apply on your face. There are so many agents that can cause. So it's very difficult to come and isolate one and leave the rest when you have not really done a conclusive, what can I say?
A remedy. Sasa I think atajua aje kama ni maziwa.
Kwanza nafaa ache, like try once to stop drinking milk maybe for a week and see if the problem persists. Yeah. Okay. So if the problem persists, na umeacha maziwa, and then of course that is not a problem. Okay. But if it stops when you stop milk, then you'll have your answer. But it's good also to seek medical intervention in some of these things. It's good to see a dermatologist to review your skin and maybe try to see what could be the other cause. But without any clinical checks, it's very difficult to isolate and say this is the cause.
Mimi ningekuwa nimemwambia itabidi sasa umekunywa low fat ama fat free. Hiyo ndo ningekuwa nimempatia.
Lakini maziwa, but conclusively I can say milk cannot cause that.
Okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
It cannot cause that. Maybe there are other agents.
And back to our myths again, there's a myth around respiratory diseases and milk.
Yes.
Especially your asthma, at times others say eczema. So I don't know how you're going to relate this. So does milk really cause higher respiratory diseases?
I know people say that when they take milk, they tend to produce a lot of mucus. There's that myth that comes. Yeah, and then they have respiratory problems, which again is just a myth. And this myth, especially this one that we've talked about, it has been there for decades. It's actually one of the oldest myths around milk. And a lot of scientific studies have been done around that area.
Yeah.
But they found there's no evidence that links, asthma or respiratory diseases or mucus production to milk. So that myth has been disputed through various scientific studies. In fact, even there's no single randomized clinical trials that shows there's a link between the two.
Okay.
What happens is that sometimes when you take milk, you may feel something like mucus kind of taste in the mouth because of the cream texture of milk. Si maziwa iko na cream. So most time unapata ukikunywa unasikia hiyo ka texture kwa mdomo, then you start saying maybe ni mucus inatoka kwa wingi, which is not. So there's no scientific evidence to show there's a link between respiratory infections or mucus production to milk consumption. Okay. So that remains a theory as it is.
And even based from what you've mentioned, so many kids like milk.
Yeah.
Children wanakunywa milk anytime, and when it comes to adults, it's not as much.
Yeah.
So we might end up saying, we don't really need it as adults, like how kids need milk.
Yeah. Well, that's also another talk in town. It's a myth, actually. People may argue, and so many people have argued before, that milk is only meant for children and not for adults. Milk is a good source of nutrition for children. Yes, that is true. But the same, most adults need calcium. They need vitamin A, and they need calcium for the bone health. Even for dental, for your teeth, you need calcium. And milk is a good source of calcium. Even look at this. We have expectant, the elderly, women who are undergoing menopause. Yes. They need calcium too for their bone density. And milk is a good source of that. So that still remains a myth. Adults also need milk. What becomes a problem, I think what brought about this myth is the issue of lactose intolerance. So you find a significant number of people who are suffering from lactose intolerance, they came and convinced majority that when you take milk, you experience GIT problems, you feel bloated, diarrhea. So to them, that meant milk was bad. So they went and convinced majority of the people. So people came and bought into that argument. Okay. Which is actually not true, because that means they suffered lactose intolerance, and there's a cure for that, lactose-free milk. Some people who are suffering from milk allergy, you take milk allergy, then you start all this kujikuna stuff. The problem is not the milk, is your body reacting to that protein. So you have a solution for that plant-based milk. Yeah. So it's just a myth. So everyone needs milk, like I said, for calcium, protein, and all these things. Okay. And another thing I wanted to mention as well, you see, as we age, our body loses that muscle, the muscle ability. There are muscle loss inaisha tukizeeka. Okay. So you find, for example, if you look at somebody who's old, for instance, huwezi compare na mtu young, their muscle imeanza weaken. And milk provides protein, because milk iko na casein, iko na whey protein, which are very good sources for muscle preservation. So napata kama if the elderly or even women, menopausal and stuff, if you start losing your muscle, then milk becomes a good source. Yeah. Napata pia is also good for recovery, especially watu wa gym. Umeenda gym, umetoka, unajua ukitaka kutoka gym, you feel muscle aches and those kind of things. True. So milk becomes a good source for muscle recovery because of the protein, whey and casein. So we'll recommend it for,
even adults.
Adults, those, especially for athletes and those who are going to the gym, who are undergoing, strenuous exercises. For full recovery after the exercise, then milk is very good source. Wow. So generally, milk is good for everyone. Okay. Yes.
And questions are coming in. I hope you're also sending your experiences with the milk, low fat, fat free, any Brookside milk, so that I can give you your hampers. 0759 434389 is the WhatsApp message, the WhatsApp line. So here I have a question. which milk is good for babies from 3 to 6 months? Wait, so this is still a baby who is supposed to be exclusively
breastfeeding.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So breast milk.
Breast milk, of course. That's the answer.
Exactly.
They used to be breastfed.
Yeah.
Yes, that
exclusively.
is the exclusive breastfeeding.
I know. Kuna saa zingine, we actually supplement. I know not all moms are able to do like exclusively. I know it's not recommended, but what's it called? What's this process? Sorry, the nuns.
Yeah.
Zinitongaje? Formula, thank you.
Breast milk substitutes.
Yes, formulas. Yes. So can they use that as well? Because you find at times when a mom probably ametoka CS is not there for the baby like the first few hours, and they give that. Is that okay?
Yeah, there are instances where the breast milk substitutes, like for example, the formulas, are recommended.
Okay.
But for that to happen, we will, require to, of course, see a nutritionist to assess you and kuambia what is good for you.
So,
but exclusive breastfeeding is the only way to go.
Exclusive. Thank you. So is it okay to take this low-fat milk if you're on medication for cardiovascular complication, i.e. fats in the heart and blood vessels? Margaret from Kitui.
Yes, actually, that is the best.
Wow.
If you're suffering from those cardiovascular, diseases or you're at risk, low-fat milk is the best that you can take.
Okay.
Because again, there's no fat, it has low cholesterol, so it's the best. So you can use that. If we don't recommend whole milk because of the fat, but low-fat or fat-free, anazatomia. Yes, in fact, that is the best that she can use.
And George, the session is really informative. People are texting in at a very fast rate. Mwingine anasema thank you for the show. It's so informing because I suffer from goat milk intolerance as well as beef allergy. Oh, kuna wenye wana goat milk tena.
So, kama mtu akona, and see that one, that's a classical example of a milk allergy.
Yeah.
So mtu kama hiyo, you're not supposed to use milk. Milk allergies is very bad. It can even cause death,
Oh, no.
So for that kind of a person, we recommend plant-based milk. I don't know if there's one you can
Yes. There's soy there. There's almond as well.
Yes, you can show. So you'll find, so like plant-based, there's almond and there's soy.
Yeah.
So for that kind of person, those are the best they can use.
Okay.
Yes.
Sawa. One more question. What makes the difference whereby someone takes milk tea, but they don't drink pure milk? And we were having this conversation with you even before the show started, that I can comfortably drink yogurt. I'm a fan of it. But now ukikuja to plain milk, lazima po utafute njia ya kuniekea ka flavor kanini. Yeah, so I think this is the question this one is asking. What makes the difference? Now, what's the difference there?
I think it's a matter of preference, because I don't think there's any difference. But again, if you cannot take pure milk and you prefer yogurt, there's no problem. At the end of the day, you're still gaining from the nutrient sources of the milk.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter which form you're taking it. It's a milk. So yogurt bado ni maziwa tu. So you still get all the nutrients in milk. So there's no problem. I think personal preference also matters, and we need to observe someone's personal preference. If I prefer to take yogurt, I don't prefer the other one. Hakuna shida.
Ni sawa.
Zote ni maziwa tu.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll recommend the Brookside Plus probiotic yogurt for you in that case.
Yes.
Let's take one more myth. Milk is full of harmful hormones and antibiotics. Nani alisema hii?
People are becoming so conscious on food safety.
Yes.
At a very high rate. Watu wengi wamesoma, And you see, there's also what happens, and that myth is valid. We cannot wish it away.
It is.
It's valid.
Okay.
Yeah, but we shall debunk it, but it's also valid. The reason why I'm saying it's valid, a lot of cows, when they are sick, you find most of them come down with the bacterial infections. So wanatibiwa na antibiotics. Yeah, for them to get fully recovered. But then sometimes after they've recovered, the antibiotic residues huwa inabaki kwa system zao. So unapata kama somebody is not fully aware, ataenda bado to milk this cow that is on antibiotic. So the probability of passing the antibiotic residue to milk is very high. And it happens, but you see, when you come to commercial use, milk that is meant to be sold commercially, those industries that do the milk, they undergo very rigorous safety measures before maziwa iuze kule nje. So they have to check, does the milk have antibiotic residue? If it has, they will discard it. They will not, proceed to process it for commercial use. So industries, I think, they have a lot of, strict or stringent safety measures that they really put across to ensure that the milk ambao wanapeleka kule nje has no any antibiotic residue.
Okay.
We should only be concerned about the milk that we see being sold over the roads, because the number zimeongezeka siku hizi kwa mtaa, huko mtaani where we stay, or the plots we stay. People are selling milk across the roads, but you're not sure if those milks underwent safety, safety regulations and things like those.
Yeah.
So kwa hizo, you may be concerned because you don't know kama walipitia hizo safety, regulations and stuff. But for milk that is well processed and is well packaged, well branded, I think they have taken into consideration of that.
Enough meet standards.
The issue of hormones, cows, just like all mammals, they produce hormones. Just like all mammals. But the amount that is passed to milk is so minimal, so insignificant that it cannot cause any harm or problem. The problem that we're having these days, we have farmers who are giving artificial hormones to their cows or to their dairies. So, and that is being discouraged at a very high rate. So it's being discouraged.
Okay.
So as I think, I will debunk it as a myth, because if it's milk for commercial use, I think the companies have very strict, safety regulations they undertake to ensure that doesn't happen. The concern will be zile maziwa ambazo zinauzwa along the road that you're not sure kama kweli zimepitia hizo regulations.
Okay. Hey, that's a lot. That's a lot. So another one is saying, thanks for the show. My teen daughter gave birth, but she's now back to school. As the grandma, the child is under my care. Na nikipata hiyo gift hamper, nitashukuru sana. Oh, tupatie jina. Na una watch from where, and we'll give you this hamper. So congratulations to your granddaughter. Na hiyo familia iendelee kubarikiwa. So huyo tampatia hamper. Hiyo umekubali? Sawa sawa. So mwingine anauliza between maziwa ya duka na ile yenye imekamuliwa. Gani iko sawa? Ile imekamuliwa Brookside Plus.
Ile imekamuliwa.
Anauliza hiyo.
Okay, all right. Anyway, ile ya duka kwanza ni mzuri because unajua imepitia hizo safety standards zote.
True.
So the chances, for example, ya kuwa na antibiotic residues hakuna. Na in fact, umenikumbusha, when you talk about antibiotic residues, we have a big problem in this country, in fact, even globally, of antibiotic resistance inaongezeka size. We find, for example, if I use an antibiotic for a prolonged period of time, for example, nimeandikiwa nikunywe antibiotic for 5 days, but unapata kuna mtu ana extend more than 5 days. You find in a way your body will start resisting that specific antibiotic. So in time unapata ile wakati utahitaji, it may not work. And this happens because people are buying a lot of antibiotics over the counter. Waendi kwa daktari, si ndio? So you find even in cows who are being treated with antibiotics, they can also cause this antibiotic resistance. So you find for milk that are commercially available, ambao kwa kampuni the way he describes it, I think they've gone through safety measures. So you're instant. But sasa ile ya kukamuliwa, I may not know because I don't know how the cow inalindwa vipi, inatumia nini.
That's the thing.
Inalishwa nini, unajua, I may not know. So we have to look at all those things. Ikiwa mgonjwa inatibiwa aje na nani.
Wow, that's true.
Na inakula nini huko? Inakula nyasi ama inakula ugali?
Wanakulanga ugali?
Utaziona hizo streets huko zinakula ugali.
Oh, wow.
So there are so many things to look into that. So ni ngumu really kusema.
So today, let me recommend Brookside Plus products to you. Stick na hizo utaona a change in your life. So hi, tuned in from Isiolo, learning a lot thanks to Brookside. I received my gift. Really enjoying your products, Faith. Nice. There was even one from Bomet we received. So please, everywhere, tutawaletea. We just make sure to text me, say hi, tell me why you want this package, and we will deliver to you. Ni kama tutachukua ya mwisho. Between long life milk and fresh, which one?
Preference, long life and fresh. It's preference. Unajua sasa, it's just preference. Unajua kuna mtu you find, they want to buy milk in large quantities, wakae tu nayo kwa nyumba. Because for convenience. Sasa mtu kama huyo long life itamsaidia.
Na hii tutakuwa na hii conversation later because hii mambo ya preservatives we will come back again. We'll find
talk about it.
A professional also to talk about this.
Sure. But in terms of preference, I think the convenience too. Unachagua what makes you convenience too. But
Okay.
Unless we have another show to talk about that.
We will.
Yeah.
Sawa sawa. Ambia watu watakupata wapi? Masaa yetu imekimbia.
Alright.
Yes, but they have really enjoyed the show. Basically, kila mtu amesema it was very informative.
Thank you.
So it was a good topic to talk about. And also thank you for debunking the myths.
Thank you so much.
Tutaendelea on
Yes.
the other one.
So
let them know.
kitu naweza sema,
Yes.
what we are trying to say essentially is that everyone is supposed to take milk at least every day. Everyone. Milk ni muhimu. You need your calcium, you need your vitamin D, and all those things we've talked about. But if you're suffering from any condition that may not, put you in a position to take milk, for example, you're lactose intolerant, kuna option. If you are milk allergic, kuna option. If you are having cardiovascular diseases or at risk, there's options for that.
Okay.
So entirely kuna option. So the point is you're supposed to take milk every day. Yes, so that you can benefit from the sources.
Okay.
So my name is George Omolo. You can get me from X account. I call myself Prof Legit. In X, Prof Legit.
Prof Legit.
Yes. In X, you can get me there. You can get me in LinkedIn. I call myself Otieno Omolo in LinkedIn account.
Okay.
Yes.
That is nice. Sawa sawa. So the products umeshasema wenye tutapatiana. Tulisema nani Roda tutampatia, watching from Gashie. And who else is getting? Grandma, to that amazing baby who got a baby. Okay, not baby. That amazing teen who got a baby. Congratulations to you na tutakupatia pia maziwa. Tuambie tu jina na mali inakuja. Tutadeliver. So thank you so much guys for watching. Thank you for always tuning in every Sunday. This and every Sunday. It's been an amazing journey. Happy to have you on my show. Happy to engage with you every single time. And this show is brought to you by Brookside Plus. You can see all the products. We've talked about them. At least today we've debunked the myths about milk. Today we are living life free and saying yes to milk again. Courtesy of Brookside Plus. And until next Sunday, guys, make sure to stay tuned to the Health and Wellness Show. Sunday, 6 p.m. on KTN. Thank you. See you later.